The product will be JSS 144. It's a joint stabilizing sand.
Trust me, more than anything, I want to get it out. So
how are we going to tweak the credible Ure Seal H2O? How are we going to tweak that and make HV?
We've never seen this much sheen after one coat.
Yeah.
And it's like, great.
Yeah,
let's
exactly.
put this coat on.
yeah.
Welcome back to the Clean Money Podcast, you guys' biggest exterior cleaning and sealing podcast in the game. Today, I have two very special guests with me, Ryan and Steve from Innovative Concrete Technology. They're going to introduce themselves here in a second and kind of break down their role in the company. Really quick shout out to shopc3.com and sailfishspray.com. We are here at the Sailfish location, so you can come check it out if you're in Florida, or you can shop online at sailfishspray.com and also shop online at shopc3.com. Without talking too much, let's get straight into the episode. Ryan, Steve, just one at a time, let me know what's your role in the company and how long you've been doing it.
First of all, thanks for having us, for you and from JR for having us here and supporting our products and our brand. But I've been with
Absolutely.
ICT now for going on 8 years. Started out as a sales guy in the Florida market, and then wind up basically getting promoted to being the national trainer. So now I do a lot of trainings throughout the country. I was just in Lexington, Kentucky last week, and next week I'll be up in the Carolina area. So
Awesome.
That's my role right now, and yeah, love it over here.
I am the Florida area sales rep for ICT. My role is pretty much to support our distributors as well as the contractors. Make sure that their marketing content is always well stocked, and then just help out in the field, give people tips, help them learn the process. Most importantly, make sure that they feel comfortable using our product when they're doing their stuff. So
Sweet.
I love it. I've been in the coatings industry for a while. They had to replace Steve over here, so they had to bring in the big guns. So I bring a little bit of background, but most importantly, it's just about customer service and making sure these guys understand our products.
Thank you guys for joining. I'm super excited. Like I always tell these guys on the channel, I don't want this channel to be about selling out. I don't work with people for a price tag, and we've had opportunities, but we only push what works with our company, what works with our service, and that's all we push. We've been using Ure Seal ICT for as long as I can remember. Like I was just telling you, we've tried them all.
Yeah.
And it's just like, why do I do this to myself? It's been working for years, so just keep using what's working.
Yeah.
And another thing before we move on, with you being out in the field, are you covering all of Florida? I know you're covering here because I want to tell them about our experience with that travertine.
Yeah.
But so you're covering all of Florida.
For the most part,
I don't want to send you everywhere, but
yeah. So we have someone that we're hiring in the Panhandle, but
Oh, cool.
So right now I'm pretty much I-10 South.
Okay.
And then covering South Florida as well. And
Sweet.
So
We also have a couple reps out in the Texas market as well. So we have a rep, Jose, who is in Houston, and he does basically from Houston over to El Paso and south. And then we have Jeremiah, who does the Dallas-Fort Worth area up into the Oklahomas and that area up in there, kind of like the Midwest. So, yeah.
Awesome. Good to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, a huge reason I stick with your guys' company with ICT is because of the support I get from the very beginning. Like when I was brand new and I didn't know, we were just talking about it, how to mix the stuff. It's like so intimidating, but it's so simple.
Yeah.
Right.
And I've had help continuously from you guys, from your company. And then the recent issue I had with the travertine, I've tell everyone this story, is applicator error. I screwed up. It was the first time with a new product, and I didn't do it correctly, and it happens. I tell these people the good and the bad.
Yeah.
And you were out here, man, like within a week of me telling you the issue, you brought some tools, like physically helping me on the job site, and everyone was expecting like, oh, what's up with the product? Is it a bad product? And I was like, no. I was like, I screwed up. But look at the service. Like, you're not going to get that from a lot of companies.
Yeah.
They're going to either blame you because I've been through it and experienced it personally, and they're going to be like, well, what'd you do wrong? Well, you must have done something wrong. And it's like, if I did, you're still not going to help me, you know.
Yeah.
And even with me being wrong, you were out here right away, and it was like that's reminded me why I stick with you guys through and through.
That's the part of the job that I truly enjoy, is trying to, if you're in a bind, or if you're in some, knowing that someone's there to help you out, knowing that someone's there that gives a crap, and we're going to try to get through it, and it'll be a learning experience. Sometimes learning experiences cost more than others, but it'll be a learning experience.
100%. That's so true, man.
Yeah.
So, I have to ask, what's the situation with the colored sand? A lot of people have heard about it. A lot of people know it's coming. And there's a lot of people. What's that?
The infamous sand.
Yeah, exactly. There's just a lot of people like me that want to support ICT because, like myself, a lot of people are true to your product and they want to keep that through and through with everything they use. And that's how I want to be. I want to make a one-stop shop, support ICT with the whole process of the job. But with you guys not having the sand out yet, I kind of have to split that up and use a different sand, which works totally fine. But we all want to know. We all want to know the details. So share what you can.
We took on this project, and it was a big project because we wanted to make sure it was done right. Sometimes you have to learn, things along the way as far as, who is a professional when it comes to knowing exactly how to manufacture, or bag sand. So it's a learning process for us along the way, but what I can share with you is that the product will be JSS 144. It's a joint stabilizing sand, and we're going to start off in 4 colors. So we'll have pretty much a variation of white, black, tan, and gray. And then the coolest thing is down the road, we have the possibility of adding more. We plan on adding more. And then even to some extent, we're talking about doing blends. So we'll have the capabilities of doing blends.
Sweet.
So that's the biggest thing about it. It's going to come in bags that are real durable. They're going to be really obvious to see what color you're getting.
Nice.
So if you're getting maybe multiple colors, not only will it be labeled, but you'll be able to see exactly what you're getting when you get
Awesome.
it.
Yep. Yeah, it's in the works. I've been out there myself in the warehouse, bagging sand myself. So it's, like Ryan said, it's a growing process. Learning something totally different that you're not, used to.
Yeah.
And we just want to get it right and kind of stick to that ICT motto of being consistent. We don't want to get something to where it's, you say it's one color and then all of a sudden 6 months later you get a different bag and it tends to the colors tend to fade side to side. So we just, like I said, we're just taking our time with it and we wanting to make sure it's 100% right before we roll it out. And when we do, trust me, we're gonna let everybody know because we've got everybody, you guys everywhere around the state asking. I mean, I've got, like I said, I go to Texas a lot and they're chomping at the bit for it as well. So we're trust me, more than anything, I want to get it out. So, but like I said, we just want to make sure that it's it's spot on and that that it's going to be 100% right and consistent. Basically, that's what we try to do. Stay consistent. So,
yeah, just like the rest of your products.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know ICT, their products are some of the. You've been in the field the longest, just about. I mean, if not the longest, you're up there with the top.
2006 is when we came out with the Ure Seal H2O. But when we came out with it, it was intended at the time. It was intended for decorative concrete. Innovative concrete technology. So Alex Metrovich, who was the original founder and owner of the company, that's kind of how he started the company in the decorative concrete side of it. So that's what we really used it for. And then one day, like I said, I think in around 2008, somebody came to the sales guy at the time and said, hey, there's this sealer out here for pavers. And then we took it to our chemist. Our chemist broke it down and basically found out that we had it on the shelf, but we were just using it for decorative concrete. So
that worked out.
Just a little bit different mix ratios. So that's that's one of the benefits of the products is you can use them on multiple surfaces.
Yeah.
That's why we have the whole big line. It's not just, hey, this is what we got. Use this for everything,
Correct.
right? So we do have it. That's like with the new HV that we just came out with. That's for
Yeah.
a lot of these real porous pavers that have been, that we've been getting flooded on the market with since after COVID. So it's like I said, we're just trying to stay consistent. We want everything to go smooth for you guys. Back to your story, I'm a former contractor myself. That's how, like I said, I got the job with ICT, and I'll never forget when I was in the field. I was on a job, and I had an issue with something that I was using, not related to the ICT or anything like that, but with just different a pool product. And I tried to get a hold of my sales guy, and first of all I couldn't.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, calling and calling. And then finally I got a hold of him, and I tell this on every one of my classes. And at the end of the conversation with him, he basically told me, he goes, well, what do you want me to do about it? And I was like, well, I want you to just help me out, man.
Yeah.
Like, help me figure this out. I mean, I wind up getting a hold of another sales rep that was great and wind up helping me out. But that's when I said, you know what, that's what ICT's about. It's like, making sure that the customer, you're out there on a job that you're, an hour away from the house, or, you're trying to get out of town because and that was my case. I was trying to get out of town for a little 3-day weekend getaway with the wife and family. And this, something that I was supposed to be done on Thursday afternoon by 12, didn't get out of there till about 6 or 7 and on the road late, but if I would have had a guy like Ryan on that other end getting me through it,
of course,
I would have been done smooth sailing and not got hey, what do you want me to do about it? So,
of course. And there's multiple people that attest to that.
Yeah.
They say like, oh yeah, they helped me out with it. I never hear like, oh, ICT never helped me out with a job. They stiffed me on this. Or, no, it's like every instance it's been, oh, they got out there, they helped me. And if it wasn't somewhere they could travel to, then you guys were helping them over the phone. Yeah. But that's what I wanted to attest to, was that your guys' products are like known greatly for being the most trustworthy products on the field, because we're going to talk about it later, but all the competition coming into your guys' space, not on the service side, there's a lot of competition, but that doesn't mean that everyone has the credibility that you guys do. And that's why, going back to the sand, I know it's taking time because it's got to have that ICT standard stamp on it. Yep. And that's totally fine. But people, of course, people are like, what's going on? What's going on? Ask them, man. Ask them in the show.
It's coming. I promise. It's coming.
All right. And I want to, before we move on, I want to go over the new Ure Seal H2O HV, you guys. Like I said earlier, I got to test it. This stuff is amazing for porous pavers, like we were just talking about. That's all we deal with in this area. We do a good amount of our sealing in a new development, and they're the most porous pavers that you can run into. And this stuff was night and day difference.
Awesome.
So I don't want to boast about it. They know that I love it. I want to hear you guys. What was the switch that you made from, say, okay, how are we going to tweak the credible Ure Seal H2O? How are we going to tweak that and make HV?
Yeah, I mean, like he was saying earlier, after COVID, there's a significant change in the block or in these pavers where you can have the best sealer out there, but if you're putting it on a sponge, it just kept disappearing. And, they always say you either adapt or you die. And so, part of our job is to have conversations with contractors and make sure that we're listening when we talk to them. And that was probably one of the most important things that came from having these discussions, is that we realized the need for having something to address that issue. And so we had a product out there. 150 has been, what I hear in the field more than anything is that the consistency across the board, it's been consistent for years, as long as people have used it. And so, okay, that's the perfect platform to start with. And then what do we need to do? Well, we need to get it to stay elevated in those pavers, so we can, layer up that sheen a little bit quicker. So it's not there to really replace anything. We're not trying to replace 150, because 150 is still a great product.
Yeah,
but
of course.
You can have the best sealer in the world, but if it doesn't have enough body to, kind of hold up, it's going to basically go into that sponge. So what we did is we took that 150 platform, and then we added some ingredients to it to help stay elevated. It is a little bit on the thicker side, but the way we're marketing it is for the porous pavers. So, you're getting that sheen level higher, and we're still trying to make sure that it had the Alex stamp of approval. We went back and forth to make sure we got it right as far as blending, making sure it was easy to apply still, and we put it out in the field. And the good thing is, the feedback that came back was exactly what we hoped for, which is everyone was like, "This stuff is exactly." I've heard we've never seen this much sheen after one coat.
Yeah,
and it's like great.
Yeah,
let's
exactly.
put this coat on.
Yeah.
But back to it, it's specifically for a certain surface, right? So it's specifically for your porous pavers.
Correct.
Like, wouldn't be something you'd want to put on, like, say, a decorative concrete or a travertine or anything like that. So, like Ryan was saying, the Ure Seal still has its purposes, but the HV, like you said, we noticed a need in the field. Guys were talking about it, and we took everybody's advice and put it into the HV, and we hope you guys like it. Apparently, you guys do. So.
Awesome. Yeah. I didn't want to generalize it, but just like I was saying, what we deal with is like my company specifically is a lot of porous stuff.
Yep.
So correct, we didn't replace anything.
Yep.
We're still using the traditional 150 kit. Of course, it's the most reliable stuff we've tried. But to now have that option of like, okay, I can go to this job and confidently know that it's not going to soak up like 3 coats before any type of sheen starts happening, which is going to happen with any 2-part product. So when we did 1 coat with that, I sent you the pictures and stuff. Like the sheen and the gloss was perfect. The sheen was perfect.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We didn't typically get that unless we're doing like 3 coats with the final one being a 1-to-1. And that takes a lot of material.
Yeah.
So even though the price point is a little different, for porous pavers, it's way more profitable because we can use less material and get higher sheens.
Yeah. One other point too is that if you've got a contractor out there that uses our next gen, something like that, HV then can become a base coat. It can be your prime coat essentially. So you're using HV first to establish that sheen level at a higher point in the paver, and then use your 150 if that's what you like. If you use you can use the next gen, and nothing changes. And then you're just getting more life out of those products too.
Yeah, that's cool. I did not think about that.
Yeah, and I've been on job sites since we've introduced it where that's what they're doing. They're using the 150, the gloss, and it looks amazing. And it's just because it's really easy to use. It's a little bit easier to use at that level where it levels out, and so you have your your purpose of having your primer, your base coat, establishing that sheen level, and then coming back, and then you're putting that nice finish coat that lays down really smooth and gives you life.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what people do with it because there's obviously what you guys can kind of say and recommend, and then there's what the contractors do, and they're playing with it at their own risk, like I've done. And a lot of those techniques that they try that you necessarily can't say, hey, go do this. It's like, I'm excited to see what people start doing like they did with next gen and playing around with the coats and the dilution ratios at their own risk. But again, it produces good results. So I'm glad to hear that there's another tool in the arsenal to, like you said, do a first coat, or just we'll see what people come up with. It'll be interesting.
It always happens, right? Guys get stuff and they tinker around with it and mess around with it and see what they can do, what they can get away with.
Correct.
Right? So we expect that. So with a lot of our products and all of our products, we have a standard mix ratios, but it's I don't want to say it's the gospel, but we give a little bit of forgiveness. Not to say that if we tell you it's a 2-to-1 that you go and add, say, 5 or 6 to 1, you know what I mean?
Correct.
But there is a little bit of forgiveness in there because we know it. I mean, it happens, right?
Yeah.
Guys either spill a little bit or they lose a little bit or whatever, you know what I mean? So there is that room in there for that little bit of forgiveness, but we definitely always recommend to stick to the labels, Read your labels, guys. Read your labels.
Yeah. I'll just say
I don't read the labels. I'm sorry, but
yeah. That's what I was just gonna say.
I like pictures, and that's how that's how I learn. I don't. You know, if you give me a book and tell me to read it, but you show me one time, and I'm good to go. So.
Correct.
If you give them pictures and pictures only with no words, perfect.
Yeah. No, to the contractors though, I've shared multiple techniques, tips that we do different that you guys don't put on the label, and you obviously know that people are, like we just said, tinkering around with it in their own ways. And me and JR talk about it all the time, like we can manipulate Ure Seal so much to each specific job. Like I'm going to do a reseal, I'm going to do a first time seal, I'm going to porous pavers. Tons of different cases where it's like I can manipulate this stuff to get kind of not exactly, but very close to the desired result that the customer wants. And it never fails. Like unless you do something completely stupid as far as dilution ratios, and of course, but if you know what you're doing, like I can tinker it with very strong dilution ratios, very diluted dilution ratios for a specific job, and it's just so versatile. So now with HV, I'm excited.
What I try to do is I try to come out, when we came out with it, try to get my hands on just enough to where at my house, I'm trying to duplicate what a lot of those contractors are going to do out there. I want to stretch it. I want to see what it can do, what it can't do, because I know that, knowing that they're going to mess with it, they're going to do things. And then so I have a real understanding of what the real parameters are, what it can do, what it can't do. And a lot of times when you do that, that's when you find hey, wait a minute, we could use it as this. You could, there's a couple other ideas of where you could use it at. So I do, like I said, I do it at my house all the time because I want to get my hands on it. I don't want to read a data page and tell you that's the gospel. I want to apply it and get it, put it down, and that way when I'm talking to a contractor and they see something, I know exactly what they're talking about.
Yeah, of course.
The also the other benefit about us going around because like I said, he covers a large area, and that was previously my area, so I continue to cover those same areas. But you get to start, like, what I say is like picking and choosing. Like, I like the way that you sand, or I like the way that this guy does his spray technique, or I like how this guy washes. So that's kind of we've had a little bit of an advantage of seeing the best out there, and then kind of like how we would make it easiest for the end user, and then like I say, just little tricks here and there that we pick up and don't mind sharing, because if it makes your jobs easier, that's what it's all here for, right? Make the jobs easier and make as much money as we all can.
Of course. I'm sure you guys have seen some wild techniques with the material, with all the jobs you've visited. We funny story. The first time I brought him out to a job, we met some guys, and they do it and it works for them, but they kind of do it a little bit backwards, and I could see it. He didn't say anything at the job, but I could see it in his eyes that he was like, "What in the hell are these guys doing?" And then we got back in the truck, and then we left and we discussed it and all that. But like we tell them, it's if it's not broke, don't fix it, right? It's like a diet plan or whatever, a workout plan. Whatever works for you might not work for me, And so just if it's working for you and you're getting good success out of it, and everything is like I said, working for you, and you're having good results, and there's no reason to fix that. And like I said, we're just here for a guideline to try to help you guys, So absolutely, and I feel like the recommendations on the buckets, those are perfect recommendations for a perfect world of a perfect stone.
Right.
Like those Arizona states out there on the West Coast, like those jobs come out beautiful because the stones are so quality. And it's like if you just followed what's on the bucket, you will get a fantastic job. But it's where the tweaking comes in my opinion, is like the situations that we deal with out in Florida and other states, I'm sure as well. They have different obstacles to face. So it's like, what can we do to manipulate this and that and this and that? But
that's a good point, because what I tend to do is when I do these one-on-one trainings, a lot of times I'm trying to show them what the end results look like, what we're trying to achieve. So like maybe it's that first saturation coat, how it looks like on the paver, because we know every paver is different. So if I said put it down like this every single time, that's not going to be accurate every
Yeah.
single time. But if I can tell them this is kind of like the color you're expecting against the stone, and you know what I'm saying,
Yeah.
like you give them what they're trying to achieve, and then one, they learn it a little bit better, and then two, they know exactly like what you just said. They know how to manipulate it in a good way to work for them and work more efficiently and accurately, and ultimately get the best job that they're trying to get.
Help them with things that they might not realize what to look out for. Thin pavers. On a concrete base,
Yep.
or just
Yep.
little
Exactly.
stuff that they might not be thinking. That's when we were talking on the way over here. I was the way I approach everything is when I was a contractor, I would go to a job. I knew what I was going to do there. I knew I was going to seal the pavers. So that was like second nature to me. I could care less about the pavers. And my first instinct was like, where's my sun at?
Yeah.
How am I getting morning sun? Do I have trees that are blocking this? Do I have all day sun? Do I got a screen enclosure here in Florida? So, and then get to the pavers. You know what I mean?
Correct.
And then but yeah, we go around and we see all these guys doing different things, and we just, like I said, we just try to help you guys out to make it as easy as possible. I mean, that's, especially down here, it's hot.
Yeah.
Guys aren't trying to stay out there longer than they have to.
No.
And I was always taught by my old man that, you don't want to go on a job twice. You don't get paid that way.
Yeah.
So that, and always bring more than what you need,
Yeah.
because you never want to run out.
Yes.
Never want to run out.
Yeah, we've been there.
Yeah.
And that's not fun.
You can always bring it to the next job, right?
Yeah.
That's what he always say.
Yeah.
Bring it to the next job.
We come here to sailfish. We
Yeah.
pick up what we need for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
That way, if we're running short in the
Yep.
middle of those 2
Yeah.
weeks, then we can replenish.
Yeah.
We're not like,
Yeah.
I always tell people,
Yeah.
they're asking me for advice. Oh, it's this square feet. I'm like, grab an extra bucket.
Yep.
Even if you
I
return
always-
it
yeah.
and you never do another job,
Yep.
just have it with you.
Yeah,
'cause
exactly.
it will turn into a nightmare.
And extra tools,
oh, yeah.
extra sprayers, extra pumps, stuff
Yes.
like that. It's like where I did a lot of my work at in Lakeland, we have a lot of country and rural towns and houses that we did a lot of work at. So we were
far.
45 minutes away from jobs. And if
Yeah.
we ran out, like that's 2 hours, 1 hour there, 1 hour back. So
Yeah.
like, we were in back then I was in a lot of the concrete business. So like, you got to keep going with it. You can't
Yeah.
let concrete stop and then try to continue it later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's.
2 is 1 and 1 is none.
Yeah,
I
that's
heard
right.
that a long
Yeah,
time ago,
yeah.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's got to stick with me
That's
because
right.
it was playing in my head, and I
Yeah.
would break a hose, and I didn't have one with me. I'm like,
Yeah.
what am I doing?
Yeah.
If I just had a hose,
Yeah.
I'd be back in business.
Yeah, exactly.
So now we have like multiple.
Yep.
I got 5 lids in the truck,
Yep.
just ready to go,
Yep.
so we don't not run into those
Yep,
issues
yep,
anymore.
Exactly.
I want to follow up on this question, you guys. So, like we talked about earlier, the actual sealing game, like sealing manufacturers, is growing. At least in the 7 years I've been doing
Yeah.
this, it has never took off so quickly with like companies like this, back to
Yeah.
back to back.
Yeah.
So, what are you guys doing at ICT to like make sure you're staying ahead of the curve, you're staying relevant, you're staying ahead of the competition, pretty much?
Yeah. So first and foremost, I mean, is putting the best product in the bucket that we possibly can. I know it sounds kind of cliche, but if you have a good product and you maintain your standards and consistency, you remain relevant just by being a good product. I think that's a big part of it.
Of course.
Of course, we talked about this before, but when we talked about HV, but the discussions I have out in the field, those, and I don't take those for granted. Steve doesn't take those for granted. Like we're getting to know our contractors, but we're also getting to know what's needed out there.
Yeah.
There's other needs out there. We're not essentially trying to wait till someone comes out with this product and then try to come up with a Me Too product and say, hey, look, we could do that. No, we try to keep our pulse on the industry, and hence 5 different 2-part sealers.
Yeah.
We have, and they're all for different needs and different sheens and stuff like that, without having to over dilute stuff. And that's kind of how a lot of it works, is that we're constantly communicating.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Constantly communicating, and then not only just communicating, but then being reactionary with it. So we're
Yeah.
coming up with the product, and then we run it up the ladder. We'll talk to when we have meetings. We'll talk to the Alex. We'll talk to other people in the company and say, hey, we've heard of, I've heard 7 times this week I've had someone ask for this type of product, And so I think, we need to come up with something because there's just not an answer out there. And if I can come up with a single component product that will take overspray off cars, I will be a millionaire and I'll retire very soon. And I probably won't let the guys at ICT know about it. I'll just make it on the side.
You'll be retired before
because
you
the
let them
amount,
know.
Absolutely, because the amount of calls I get with what do we do when we get overspray on the car? First thing is don't get overspray on the car, but we're past that. So, so if I can come up with something, I know that it would definitely work, in that area. There's a need, put it that way.
Yeah.
But to second that, I know we do a lot of testing as well with all different types of products, all the different products in the market. I was once told, know your competition. It's good to know your competition. It's you play. Even if you're friends. I'm sure some wash guys in the business. It's kind of like like back in school, right? You were on the football team together, you played together, but then you went off to college, and now all of a sudden you're on the field. We're battling it out, but afterwards you guys go have a beer or whatever together. You know what I mean? So knowing your competition is big. We like I said, we have a full-time chemist that's always running test data. He's got his understudy. Raj, who's our full-time chemist, who just got a Lifetime Achievement Award for in the coatings industry up in Savannah just this past week. So
awesome.
So we, like I said, if we hear about anything in the market, the first thing we do is Raj will tell us, well, get me something of it and we'll test it. He's a chemist. He breaks it down, find out what it is, what it's doing, how it works, and then try applying it to multiple surfaces, not just let's try it on this one brick. Let's try it on multiple surfaces and see what it does and stuff like that. So it's to answer your question, like we just kind of basically, I guess, keep your ear to the street. Yeah. Listen to what the guys are saying. Yeah. Okay. If you come to me and tell me, hey, look, there's this thing on the market and this is what it is, and if it's something that we could, like I said, look into and see, or maybe direct you to something that we have that you might not be aware of, then that's kind of how we do it, trying to keep everybody aware and just listen to the contractors, man. You guys will tell us,
Yeah, of course.
You guys will tell us exactly what's going on, if it's good or if it's bad,
I was just curious because I was curious if you guys maybe noticed a hit in sales, a lowering number in sales, just with all these new people coming out. Like I talked about this on a previous video that I made. I've tried 2 to 3 products, and I've only been in this for 6 to 7 years, and I've tried 2 to 3 products that don't even exist anymore.
Yeah.
So it's I know they're turning and burning, and especially within the last couple of years, more than ever.
Yeah.
And what a lot of them do is they focus on the solids and they focus on the sheen, and it's these things can be enticing especially to newer people, to people that don't have a lot of knowledge in paver sealing, and they can read this guy on the internet oh, come try our product because it has this much more solids, and it's and then they show the best case scenario, the best job site picture that they've ever taken. Look at this sheen, and it's
and you have no idea how they achieved it.
Accomplished
exactly.
it. Yeah.
So it's it can really grabs my attention, and I've been doing this for a long time.
Yeah.
So it's I'm curious if you guys had to pivot, hey, they're doing something. We got to pivot and kind of, because old strategies through business, through products, whatever, they could die out. And like we talk about in content making, if we make a really cool video right here, but my thumbnail, the picture of this video, and the title is no good, I can have the best video in the world behind that, but no one clicks on it. Yeah. So who cares? Yeah. So I was just curious if that, what I just said, has affected you guys as a company.
You want to answer me?
Well, I'll say that we've, you make a good point, and so we've actually invested a lot of money in marketing, and we're starting to focus, a lot of energy towards that to getting our message out there, making sure. I mean, at one point, being the best product in the bucket was enough, but like you said, there's a lot of people that they get confused. They're new to the market. They might have heard of a different product before they've heard of our product. One thing that's an advantage of us that I do love is the fact that we have our manufacturing facility in Lakeland. We have the ability to pivot when we need to. We have the ability to try stuff out, test it, see if it's worth anything, tweak it, adjust it if we need to. when we have one of the best chemists that, makes sure that the integrity of the product maintains at a high level and that it's doing exactly, everything that we do is quality driven. It's not profit driven.
Yeah.
It's not
Correct.
profit driven. It's
Correct.
like, is this the best product and could we sell it?
Yeah.
And then the price is what it is afterwards. But we're going to make sure that it's, again, resolving an issue that we need to resolve. But yes, getting marketing out there and getting our message out there is very important, and that's something that we're, putting a lot of effort towards as well.
Cool.
Yeah, a lot of I get it all the time, but the guys, because just like you said, you've tried stuff, and I've had guys. I mean, a lot of guys that will go and what we say they'll stray, and then they come back. I hear it all the time. They go, "Man, I cheated on you, man, but I'm back, man. I'm back." So just now, like we were talking earlier, we won't mention any names, but we had a guy that was a pretty big deal in the sealing industry that found product elsewhere, but I'm from what I'm guessing that just the consistency wasn't like up to the Ure Seal standard, and now he's back and he just ordered two pallets of Ure Seal. So,
Yeah.
So
I always tell people, like, if you want something consistent, something solid, your customer will always be happy.
Yep.
Just give it a shot. To all the new guys that reach out to me, and I've never once had them, like, they may have strayed away, like you said, but they've never like, oh, dude, that was garbage. I got an inconsistent bucket. Like I've had with those other products we talked about, won't name names, but with the ones that I have tried, I've got like the formula's completely screwed up, the wrong material in the bucket. I'm like, dude, what? I'm going back.
Yeah.
So I haven't switched for a very long time.
Yeah.
And with you guys bringing out so much new stuff to the market, like with the travertine and the natural stones, and with the porous, the HV, like there's really no reason to switch. I've noticed, like, with our eyes, we can see like a 1% difference in sheen. But at the end of the day, if you just produce a very pretty driveway, it was prepped really good, sanded really good, you can use the top manufacturers and get very similar results. And they're not really going to be like, oh, I saw a different product and it was more, it had more sheen. That comes from the contractor. But
the only difference that to what you were just saying that I do here is you might get similar results, but how long do those results last is typically the difference between
that's
the
very
two.
true.
So whatever, and unfortunately for you guys, it's a hard lesson to learn because it looks great at first and for 6 months, and then all of a sudden 8 months to 12 months later, it's like, where'd it go? And so yeah, I mean,
that's true.
We the other thing that we do at over at ICT is we every product that comes out, every 1 gallon, every 5 gallon bucket, no matter what it is, every one of them has a batch number on it, basically like a born on date. Lets you know what day it was made, what batch it came from, what lot it came from. So if you were to have any kind of questions, you can, always, refer back to that batch number. And with that batch number, with those retains, we keep retains for up to 3 years on all of our products.
Oh, nice.
So if something were to happen, if you were to call me and say, hey, Steve, I'm having an issue with this bucket of HV, I'd ask you to pull the retain, and then we can pull it and then try to simulate it. Like, we want to know what's going on.
Correct.
So that's why we do that, just to quality control, right? You just make sure that it's staying consistent. So and we've had to we refer back to batches sometimes because we get guys that'll call and say, hey, this bucket's no good, and it's the hardest thing the first thing I told him when he started here, I said the hardest thing to tell a guy is honestly on our part is, hey man, the job's messed up, whether it was your fault or whether it was Mother Nature, but it's hard to make one bucket go bad out of 500 buckets. You know what I mean?
Of
So
course.
it's like, I tell people it's kind of like a cup of coffee or a pot of coffee. I'm sorry. It's either the whole pot of coffee is good or the whole pot of coffee is bad. I can't just make that one cup be bad and the rest of it be good. So, but back to that, we do keep retains on everything. So I always tell the guys in your contract, when you're doing it, when you're pulling the bucket, just write it. It's right there. And it also helps you when you're purchasing it. Sorry, distributors, but it tells you how old it is, right? I mean, you can look at it and go, hey, this might have a little dust on it. Let me check
Yeah.
the date. Maybe I should get a newer one, right?
Yeah,
'Cause-
JR can read them. I was like,
Yeah.
something came up, and I was like, how old is this one? And he's like flipping the bucket around.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, this is exactly from this date.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh,
yeah.
good to know.
Yeah. Yeah. And just a little trick, guys. It's the first two numbers are the year, second two numbers are the month, and then the next two numbers are going to be the date that it was made. So it'll be, let's just say today would be 25/5/8.
Oh, okay.
And the
If that makes
product number.
sense. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm
And then
gonna
the
clip
product
this
number
part of
behind
the
it.
podcast and
Yeah.
save it in my phone.
Yeah.
I'm always looking at it like I forgot.
It happens, man. It always does. So.
Yeah, I'm glad we touched up on that though. I was just curious on my end because there's just like any business, everything's always elevating, and I saw that on the internet. You guys are ramping up marketing, and it's just like you said, having the best product, most reliable, consistent product is just not it anymore,
Yeah.
and it's going to take a little bit to stay on top.
Yeah.
And I was just curious how you guys were adjusting.
Yeah, assistant, like you were saying earlier, assistant contractors. We do have videos up now in English and in Spanish.
Yeah.
And we also, I know for the Ure Seal, we have the literature up in Portuguese as well. So if
Cool.
a lot of Brazilian guys are doing a lot of paver sealing, paver laying. So
Okay.
it's a growing business. I mean, it's one of the fastest growing businesses in
Yeah.
America right now. I mean, with all these pavers and houses that are being built, I
Yeah.
mean, especially here in Florida. I mean, I know, I mean, anywhere you go, like I just drove last week from Michigan down to here, and it just the growth that I saw on the way down here is just, it's mind boggling. It really
Yeah.
is. I mean, from some small distributors that I used to start at, I'll never forget. There's one in, where's that? Over by like the Land O'Lakes area in Florida. And I just take this road 54 that I used to drive on. There used to be nothing out there. And now, less than 7 years later, since I've been working there, I mean, you can't find a strip of land out there. I
Yeah.
mean, it's all packed up with stuff. So it's a growing market, and there's just so much floor out there.
100%.
And maybe, I mean, if you're being generous, maybe 5 or 8% of it's being taken care of and maintained.
Yeah.
The rest of it, nobody's doing anything
Yeah.
to. You know, they're just letting it rot. And with concrete, you can kind of get away with that, like a concrete driveway. But with pavers, they really do need to be maintained.
Oh, yeah.
Because if not, then they fade and then they look all, bad. Which we have products for that as well too. But
We'll move on to question 3.
Yeah.
I'm curious for this one. What is a consistent trait you see in the top performing paver sealing contractors that use your products?
The biggest thing I would say is, establishing your processes, establishing controls, and then sticking by it, right?
Okay.
And I'm kind of vague there, but what I mean by that is, as contractors learn the market, and they start expanding, they start getting bigger, and they're not in the field as much, right? Coming up with those set systems where their guys are constantly going through that checklist or going through making sure that they are, they're following their own rules. And like you said earlier, checking for the weather, checking for the whether the thin pavers, wetting down your pavers, to make sure that if there's tire shine there or something like that, that you're identifying it early.
Yeah.
So, really just obsessing over quality, I think, is the number one thing. Willingness to trying to perfect your craft and staying humble enough to realize that you might not know everything.
Correct.
Because I will tell you, on a day-to-day basis, I don't even know how I have conversations sometimes because you're talking to people that already know everything.
Yeah.
But there's people that humble themselves that have been in the industry for 30 years will ask you questions.
Yeah.
And you know what? You're never going to stop learning. You're never going to come across something that you know 100%. New stuff presents itself all the time. And typically, because of the amount of contractors that we have out there, we've come across it in one way, shape, or another, and we can usually guide or help them. And if not, we have a good network of people that say, like he said earlier with Stone, we'll reach out to some people and say, hey, this is your specialty. Help me with this. Help me figure out what we got going on here.
Yeah.
Some of those, that's what we do, and it works for us.
Nice.
you want to stay to the, schedule, doing things a certain way. So if you do have to bring on a new guy and somebody misses a day or something, that they can just continuously do this. have the wheel roll straight, not hit any bumps or anything like that on the road. So just consistency mainly, just kind of like Ure Seal. You want it to be the same every single time. You want to make sure that if you do have an issue, you know how to address said issue.
Yeah.
So that's what a lot of guys are doing. Just trying to be consistent and not, deferring from what they do. If they learn something new, then yeah, great. And maybe try to implement into their scheme. But like we were talking about earlier, that it's kind of like a diet or a workout plan. If it works for you and it's working for you, then just stick to it. Let's just go with that. So, but we do have a lot of our contractors. They're also willing to share information, especially ones that aren't in the same area, right? Like, so if I've got a guy that's in, say, New Smyrna, and I got an issue in Sarasota, it's a totally opposite side of the state. The guy over here that knows my specialty wouldn't mind assisting another guy across the state. And I've got, like he was saying earlier, I've got guys that they love it. This is what they do. They eat, breathe, sleep this stuff, man. I've got one guy that he's my stone guy, like Ryan was saying. He's our stone guy. If anything happens with stone, because he used to work for a stone company selling stone, and then he noticed that in the market it needed to be cleaned, and there's a lot of issues with natural stone, travertine, whatnot, and that's what he does now. He goes around all around the state and cleans them, and he's one of those guys that we joke around it all the time, but like, we can call this guy and he'll answer the phone. He'll answer any question you have. And he'll also be like, you'll be like an hour on the phone. You're like, all right, dude, listen, man, I got to go. I really appreciate it. But he's just that passionate about, what he does. And he's just willing to help, and that's.
Is that who you reached out to? Right?
Yeah. He's our stone guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
With my job. That's who you reached out to, right? Yeah. He's awesome. I spoke to him on top of what you reached out to him about. And like you said,
he won't hang up the phone, will he? He's like, you're like, all right, dude, I got it. I promise you I'll call you back.
Yeah, exactly.
I love him to death, though. I love him to death. He'll know who I'm talking about. So.
Yeah.
He's a great guy, man.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people are like that in this industry, and it's a shame because, like you said, you literally just said, the top guys are typically sharing information because they're not really, they don't have that scarcity mindset like, oh, if I share how to do this, then they're going to take the food off my table.
Yeah. Well, and like back in the day, I might be dating my age here, but back in the day, we didn't have like social media and stuff like that and all this good stuff. So we were mainly confined to our small little areas that we were working in. And so to get information back in the day was really tough. Like, how do you get it? Like, how do you learn how to, like in my instance, I did a lot of pool remodels. So like, how do you learn how to remodel a pool without somebody actually teaching you? There's no book back in, 20, 25 years ago that you can look up and go, hey, this is how you, delaminate a surface and put a new coating back on top of it. So it's like I said, it's nice to have that now, to where guys, they like I said, they eat, breathe, and sleep this stuff, man. They love doing it, and they're so willing to give out information. So if guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us, and we'll reach out to our guys, and whatever it does to help provide service to your business that helps you be successul. That's what I tell guys all the time too. Me and Ryan, we don't make anything by just selling one bucket to you.
Correct.
That does nothing for us.
Yeah.
Right? We want to keep selling you more and more and more buckets, because that's how we make money. And if we sell you more buckets, well, guess what? You make more money as well. So that's the end goal there. So, but to do that, we want to make sure that you're doing it the right way.
Absolutely.
Doing it the steps that you should. And that's why, like I said, if you got any questions, call Ryan, call myself. Ryan's great about going out to jobs, as to come and help try to assess the situation, see what's going on.
Yep.
Basically what we do is when we get there is we look at the job and then just kind of like got a checklist that we go over and go, okay, let's start checking off all these boxes and try to figure out what's going on.
Exactly.
Assess the situation and then come up with a fix, because that helps you. And then in turn, that's, good on our end.
Yeah.
It's, you can rely on us to get something done, or a question asked or answered or whatever, so.
Absolutely.
That's what we love. We love doing it. And this guy's really good. I even have to tell him sometimes, dude, you got to put the phone down, spend time with your wife and kids. It's weekends, 6, 8 o'clock at night, and he's answering the phone. So you know what I mean? We'll get it if you need it. That's why I tell people all the time, if if you're trying to get a hold of us, call us. If we don't answer, leave a message. We'll call you back. It's normally we're either doing something like this or a training or whatever. But I do tell people the little secret is if you really have an emergency like I did that day, right?
Yeah.
Call me back. If I don't answer, call me back again. And if I see that I've got 3 missed calls from you, I know something's going on, right? And I'm going to call you back and I'm going to try to help you out. But
you might be kicking yourself in the butt.
but don't abuse it. Right?
So what he's saying is call, hang up, call, hang up, call, hang up, and then he'll call you back.
Eventually, he will pick up out of frustration.
And when I mean by call, I mean call Ryan.
Yeah, here's Ryan's number on the screen.
But no, you can call me.
I did want to expound on that. You're talking about, essentially like what you do, with these podcasts, right? Mm-hmm. You're essentially a mentor for a lot of people out there. I get constantly people say, Rusty said this, Rusty recommended this, Rusty. Yeah. And so think about this. It's like if you take on that responsibility, you take on the pride of being a mentor for someone, you're going to try your best not to put, false information out.
Absolutely.
You're going to try to be accurate as you can. To the point where if you had to do research to get an answer to someone, because you are that mentor, then it's going to sharpen you. So that's why I say if you're a mentor, you become a mentor, or even when you're starting out, finding a mentor, someone that's going to help you out. That's how it works, is that you're constantly going to be trying to sharpen your own game. And in turn, you're going to memorize the stuff because I've heard some of the questions so many times. I'm pretty confident in 90% of, the answers I provide. And if I don't, I'm going to find out. And I'm going to go to the depths of the earth to find out that answer.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it works, is that, if someone takes pride in what they do, even if they're taking pride in being a mentor, they're going to make sure that they provide the right answer, and it's just going to sharpen their skills.
Absolutely. And it's very transparent if you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Right. Like if you guys just say you two were in this for a paycheck, it would be so transparent. And if I was just doing social media for a paycheck, it would be so transparent. But I always tell these people, I've been doing this because it was lacking when I got into the industry 7 years ago. Granted, social media was a thing, yes, but there wasn't like paver sealing, pressure washing contractors that were very welcoming. And like, even still to this day, it's like you can run into a lot of grumpy people and they just want to gatekeep all this information. But it's fine, that's how you roll, and that's how you roll. But I wanted to be a person that people can watch the video and just feel comfortable and confident, like, I feel a little bit better to go tackle this job now. Because I remember I'd run into special occasions, and it's like, there's information on how to soft wash a roof, but just little things that were like a little deeper into the industry needed to be addressed and told to an audience. And that's where it came in to me starting YouTube. Like I was already in this business before trying to be a mentor. So it was just sharing information like, I went through that problem. Here was the solution.
We tell people all the time too, get on the Facebook forums, look
100%.
at and you'll find some valuable information on there, but be careful too, because there is, like you said, a lot of these guys out there that, we always joke about it too. It's the guy that's like, I just got a 20,000 square foot job, I'm about to do this. And he shows like an electric, 1 gallon a minute pressure washer, right? So just be careful what you read out there and what you see, and double check with myself, Ryan, or, you. I know you're, a wealth of information as well. So, and don't mind sharing it. So just check with, if you got a question, ask it. The only dumb question is the one that you don't ask, right? I mean, there is no dumb questions. So, just give us a call and we'll try our best to help you out. And if not, like Ryan said, if I don't know the answer, I'm calling Alex. And if Alex doesn't know the answer, then we're calling Raj. And if that doesn't happen, then Raj is, then it hasn't been invented yet, right?
All right. If someone is wanting to get into the paver sealing industry, what's the best advice you would give them? And I'm sure you've been in this situation plenty of times being in your role.
Well, the best advice is to attend a class.
Yeah.
And when I say that, I'm being vague, but, just with ICT alone, we offer, classes at our facility. When it gets too hot in the months, and all the time, me and him are constantly doing one-on-one trainings.
We've done one here.
Yeah, someone's serious about it, then, we'll have a discussion, and I was out yesterday helping a guy that wanted to learn how to seal. I would say that, like I said, with distributors, we do trainings all the time at our distributors. If you're, the best way I would say is to stay in touch maybe with our social media, because we provide all of our calendars of events and stuff like that, so you'll know where we are.
Cool.
At any given time, you'll know where we're at and what we have coming up.
Okay.
And if something has to get rescheduled because of weather, that's the first thing is, again, I told you before, find a mentor, but I definitely think getting a class, and, we were talking on the way over here too, and it's, attend our class, attend some of the other manufacturers out there. I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think there's other quality products out there. I'm not supposed to be able to say that, right?
Yeah.
But I know that there's other quality products out there. And so there's some good knowledge out there. And I think most of those guys aren't wanting to put false information or wrong information out there. So I think the more information that comes in, you can kind of decipher and figure out what works best for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my 2 cents.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great advice. Before you go, Steve,
Yeah.
I just want to say, just so you guys don't think that Ryan's pushing their course, whatever, he's transparent. He said, hey, there's more people doing good courses.
Yeah.
But just so you guys don't feel that way, that's the best thing you could do is like the hands-on training.
Yep.
I went to the one that was here. That was the first one I've been to in a long time.
Yeah.
But just how in-depth you guys went, it's like if someone sat through the whole demonstration, there's no way that they don't know how to go get their first job done. They're not an expert, but like with how in-depth you guys go, you're going to probably do a good job as long as you follow the steps. So that is the best thing. After watching my videos, that's the best thing they could do.
Well, absolutely. And back to that, we always talk about it too. I mean, we treat it like almost kind of like a job interview, right? So you come to the first class and you see, especially if you're a newbie, right? I mean, granted, we do have a lot of guys that come to see what's new on the market and stuff like that. But for the guy that's just starting getting out, come to the class. See if this is what you want to do. Like I said, if it is, that's the first class. And then after that, you get our numbers. And then what we do is we go out there and then we help them on an actual job, one-on-one. So what we normally typically tell them is find a job that you're not getting paid on so we can actually spray product with you. Because when you're getting paid, we can't really actually be out there putting product down with you. You see what I mean? So what we tell people is, like I said, the best is to do it like at the in-laws in case you mess up, If they don't like you, then you didn't. They already don't hate you. So, we'll practice there. We'll start there, and then after that, once you get the hang of it, and ready for a job, then what we do is we can go out to a job that you're getting paid on, but we can't play, right? So we're almost like the coach, right? We can watch you from the sideline and say, hey, you might need to do this and that, but we can't actually physically put down products and stuff like that. So like I said, back to the hiring process, what I kind of hear, I say is first time you come, get affiliated and acquainted with all the products, wrap your head around it to see if that's what it is. Then we go do a small job with you. And then if you're really serious about it, then go get a paid job and we'll come back. I mean, we're not, like we said, we're not here just to say, here's this bucket, go and do it, and you're on your own. Like,
of course.
If you need us, call us. I mean, if you don't hear from me calling you back, doesn't mean that I don't like you. I just, I got guys all over the place, same thing. I mean, I got a guy in Texas, same thing. He called me the other day. He's one of the guys that we have spoke about earlier, but he had an issue. So I basically kind of walked him through it, and, we just figured it out over the phone, and he did it, and, thank you. And
absolutely,
here we are. So,
and another shameless plug too. When people are starting out, they're starting out. Joining our rewards program, I would tell you, is once they get in the habit of uploading receipts, it's the easiest way to, just get rewarded for stuff that you do all the time already. And so I have the guys that participate in it. They don't shut up about how awesome it is. And I get it. Some guys are just lazy. They can get rewards from a credit card, and all they have to do is swipe, and they still won't collect on them. But a lot of these things that we're giving back are things that you can actually use in the industry to help out, or if you want to reward your best, say, technician or something like that. And there's multiple ways you can use it. But for me, I think it's just a no-brainer when you're getting started and you start that habit of uploading receipts. You're doing pictures, you're doing your before and afters. it's just another way to start in the beginning, so it's not teaching an old dog new trick.
Yeah.
You're getting started on it. You know what I mean? You're doing it off the
From
bat.
day one, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Really
And-
quick for the people curious, because this is what I was curious about. I enrolled in the rewards program, but you don't have to order it offline to get rewards.
No.
Absolutely right. Correct.
Okay, so
doesn't
it's-
matter where they
Okay,
go.
so if I buy it here,
Yep.
I just upload my receipt from here
Yep.
and
Right.
show proof of sale.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
That's it. Yep.
Okay.
And for the guys that have been using, I've been she's gonna kill me, but but I've been authorized to for the guys that sign up now, will backdate it 60 days for signing up. So whatever products you've used
That's
in the past
huge.
60 days, you can submit that towards it. And like Ryan said, you get like Visa gift cards, wash boots, Yeti tumblers. I mean, whatever. It's just like everywhere else, right? They're all
There's a
doing
variety.
a rewards program.
It's
you
cool
know what
stuff.
I mean?
That's why I enrolled.
Yeah,
I saw the
yeah,
ad and I'm
yeah.
like, I buy a lot of this stuff.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
gonna
exactly,
I'm gonna
yeah.
sign up. So I'll
Yeah.
put the link, you guys, to enroll into the rewards program. I'll put in the video description.
And sorry, I didn't mean it, but it's I did it. I do it all the time with guys at classes. I mean, it takes less than 5 minutes to sign up.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
It's just the general information, name of the company, contact, and email, and I think that's pretty much it. Those 4 things, I think, and then after that, once you do it, then like Ryan said, just start submitting in your receipts, and then
And you can do it monthly too. It's not like
Yeah.
every single time you go buy something, you have to upload it. You can do it at the end of every month to make it easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. There's very cool rewards on there.
Yeah.
Very enticing.
Oh, yeah.
It's like nice.
Yep.
All right, last question to you guys. What are the biggest struggles you see contractors running into, and how could they typically avoid them?
So regarding paver sealing, I mean, when you have these guys that start out and they might have started with a YouTube video, that's what they know. So they go out and they approach every single job the same, and they don't take the time to assess the job before giving a quote. And I think the number one way to do quality work and to get the most, most contracts, I guess, contracted jobs, is to educate your customers the most. And by educating your customers, then in turn, the fact that you talk that lingo and you point out the problem areas, stuff like that, right? Those people know that you know what you're talking about. And so kind of going back what we were saying earlier, assessing the job when you get there is the most important thing.
Yeah.
What kind of, in thin pavers, I think there's a lot of contractors out there will attest that many times if they've ever had issues, it's been on thin pavers, and sometimes they didn't know that there was thin pavers even laid down.
Yep.
Especially where we are now, there's a lot on driveways that they just assume that they were normal, and so they're soaked and washing them down and then sealing them with a thick coat of sealer right afterwards. And that's something that could have been avoided if they just, have their checklist, take a deep breath, assess the situation, and don't be in such a hurry. But
Correct.
I mean, I think that alone would save the amount of issues that truly happen out there if they just slow down and try to do their process.
Absolutely.
Do their checklist.
Yeah, and look professional, right? Like you're selling yourself. That's what we always tell you. You're selling yourself. You're not, anybody can mix a bucket of sealer and put it down, but it takes you to go out there to sell the job, get them to like you, to be able to sell the job and be able to land the job. So, and mainly like quality control, right? I mean, I think that you guys, they just need to stay consistent, right? If you're doing it a certain way and it's working, keep doing it that way. Don't change it and don't try to, oh man, I'm running low, so let's add more water to it on this one, or just little things that that they're trying to cut corners to save maybe some money.
Yeah.
That they're thinking they're going to save money, but then in turn, now guess what? We got to come back out to this job, and now it's costing us twice as much. So just like Ryan said, take your time. Rome wasn't built overnight, right?
Yeah.
So I tell these guys in trainings, I tell them it's like riding a bike, right? First time you got on a bike, you fell.
Yep.
Second time you got on it, you fell. A week later, you're getting it. 2 weeks, the training wheels may come off, and then like a year later, you're doing catwalks down the street. So it's really, so it's kind of similar to that. Just take your time, make sure you're doing it right. Reach out if you have any questions. If you're unsure of anything, give us a call. I mean, that's what we pride ourselves here at ICT is customer service, answering our call.
Yeah.
Any question you may have, I mean, we're there for you. We want you to be basically like your security blanket, right?
Yeah.
If I've got a question, man, I've got this ace in my back pocket that I know I can whip it out and he's going to answer that. And that's what we want. We want it to, like going back to that other story I was telling you, it's a running joke because, and I hope he doesn't see this video because he's going to kill me, but it's a running joke that every time we call him, because every time you call this guy, he never answers his phone, never answers his phone, never. And it's like, that's just the most frustrating thing. Even if it's the littlest minute thing, like, hey, can I add just a little bit more water to this coat because I don't know if I'm going to have enough for the final. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to be there for someone just to go, hey man, I know Ryan's going to answer this call if I need him. It's like it's just nice to have that in the back pocket, especially for the new guys. Just don't hesitate to call guys. Like I said, give us a call. Ryan a call.
Yeah. Coming from a contractor,
Yeah.
I would say our biggest mistakes have been made when it's rushing
Yeah.
and or when I'm not too sure about something and I don't want to wait around to
Yeah.
find out a answer from someone
Yeah.
with more knowledge than me.
Yeah.
And those are every single issue we've ran into is just because of that specifically. Like the Tesla story, the coding the cars story is funny because my first insurance claim ever was we did a job and we had tarped a Tesla, a very nice Tesla that had some like very expensive coating on it.
Yeah.
And we tarped it up really nice and we're going to town, super windy day. It was in the garage with the garage open like a foot.
I've heard this story
Yeah,
a bunch of times.
And the tarps and everything fell off. And we're just going to town and the wind is taking it and doing a wind tunnel in the garage. And the lady called me freaking out. Like, my freaking Tesla, it's covered.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no.
Oh, I do.
And that could have been avoided if I just
Yeah.
peeked my head in there, made sure the tarp was on there.
Yeah.
Or even better, told her to get it out of the dang garage.
Out of the garage, yeah.
It could have been
Yeah.
avoided so many
Yeah.
ways.
Yeah, just pay attention. Pay attention to everything. I mean, I have no stake in this app but any app, just get something that has a radar on it. Now I know we're getting ready to come into rainy season. It's getting ready to be here, guys. I mean, in Florida, I know, and where we're at, Central Florida, you can set your watch by at 4:30 every afternoon. It rains. So just keep a little, like I said, a radar app on there. Check and see if it's coming. I mean, typically you can look up and see if it's going to be there, but just.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. This
is paver sealing roulette season.
Yeah, exactly. So just know your situations. Again, back to knowing your job, knowing if here, I know like on the coast, it tends to want to rain in the morning and then it pushes inland to us. So like if that's your rain pattern, just know what's going on. Look at the news the next day and try to get a gauge of what's going on so you're not out there and putting down sealer and then all of a sudden 10 minutes later it's washing down the street on you because listen, you guys, it happens every day and you guys are gonna be the first and you won't be the last. So but a lot of times with our sealer it is fairly forgiving. I mean, I'm not gonna say that if you get rained out and washed out that it's going to still look like it did if you just put it down. But
it's more forgiving than you guys would think.
It is. I mean, we've come across stories that it's rained and 5 minutes later, or it's sealed and then 5 minutes later it was rained on and all they've lost was really the sheen. So they basically just applied another coat on it and it looked good. So
I tell customers like, give it an hour of dry time and it will be repelling water. And most of them like. If it's a downpour, that may change, but with all the experience over the last 6 years, I've seen countless jobs. We've had an hour go by, it dumped for 20 minutes, and the job, they don't believe me at first, and they're like, an hour? I'm like, an hour. Yeah. And then they call me back the next day, or I talk to them, and it's like, I'm like, hey, how's it looking? Oh, it looks like it never rained. And I'm like, there you go. It's typically like when you are spraying and then it starts dumping and you're like, okay, this is a chalk.
Yeah.
I tell people, don't panic until it's time to panic.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can, it's wet right now anyway because it just rained. So wait till the next day. Just wait it out. And then sometimes you'll be, either be surprised or you'll be as depressed as you thought you'd be. There's only so many options you got.
Yeah.
But, I guess going off of that too is like we said this earlier. I like to be as present as possible and try to, answer my phone call, which means that sometimes I'm on the phone already. So I'll call you back if you leave a message, but reach out to me. You can reach out to Steve, reach out our facility. At our facility, we have a tech rep there as well too.
Cool.
That can answer questions. So we try to make it so, if someone is in a bind or someone needs help, that there's no lack of resources or ways to find out the answer that you need.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to link their social medias, you guys, as long as that rewards program, so they can get a hold of you. You can ask questions if you're brand new, if you're considering switching. We talked about drifters. There's a lot of drifters. I noticed a lot of drifters in the industry. They like to play around with everything. If you're a drifter, come try this product. You guys won't be disappointed. But appreciate you guys coming out. This was an awesome episode. Absolutely. I hope it benefited the contractor as well. I think it's good to hear, as you guys know, this show is for the contractors. We talk about small businesses, but I tried to implement it in a way that can benefit them, and they can hear about your product. They can hear about just paver sealing in general. So if it brought you guys any value, hit the thumbs up button. Let YouTube know that it was a good video. The next episode, you guys, is going to be JR interviewing me. So he brought it up. Nice. He's like, "You never been interviewed on your show." And I'm like, that's a good point. Yeah. So I'm not going to know absolutely anything what's going to be asked. I'm just going to be answering JR's questions. But that's going to wrap up this episode really quick. JR, yes, sir. You got any questions? You want to practice your hosting before our episode? You want to take the hot seat really quick?
I don't know if this camera's ready for me yet.
Well, let's find out.
Guys, this is totally unscripted right now, I'm telling you.
You don't have your paper?
I don't have my paper, my bullets, no nothing.
Hey, you coming over here? It's us. What you got? Come
What's
on,
up,
let's
gentlemen?
see. How you doing?
How are
Sit closer to the mic.
Yeah.
We're still a low shock distance here. So, I've been eavesdropping on your little conversation here.
Yeah.
I love the tidbits that everybody was dropping in. So, you didn't say anything I wouldn't have said if I was in your shoes, and same thing with Rusty. So, how do you feel the podcast went doing this would be a first podcast for both of you, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I've done. I've been doing a lot of the videos and stuff for our online, how tos and stuff like that. So it's a little different than this. This is more live, right on. So, but yeah, I mean, it was great. I mean, I think it went well. I mean, Rusty's got something going on over here, man. He really does.
Yeah, it's a pretty good podcast. He's as big of a cheerleader as I am. I'm probably the biggest ICT cheerleader. We all know that, but.
Yeah, we've done some classes together, my friend.
A couple, yeah. We've done a few. So, we're on the same team. We're on the same wavelength. Both me now being on the retail side of things. This is new for 2 years now. Washing for God knows how long, and I heard you talking about the whole cheating thing. I can't tell you how many times I went and fessed up to Alex. Hey, dog, I cheated on you.
You were one of the guys I was talking about.
Exactly. So, and I'm the first one to raise my hand and say, listen, you have to do stuff like that in order to step outside of your own box. So you're comfortable as a washer with the different products out there.
100%,
we're not going to drop names of different ones, but I've done the same thing, and I've done the trainings with others, and I just every single time I end up back at ICT products. So I've been it's my go-to.
It's a familiar.
It's my fail-safe. It's what makes me money. It keeps Mama happy, which is really that's all that matters at the end of the day.
It's the number
right?
one. That's the most important thing, right? That's it. Yeah.
Well, guys, we appreciate you having you.
Thank
you, Wash Fam, for having us and letting us be on your TV, computer, telephone. We really appreciate you. Make sure that you subscribe to Rusty's channel, Clean Money Podcast, and look forward to the little role reversal we're going to be doing sooner than later, where we're going to put Rusty in the hot seat and got some good topics for him. So, guys, appreciate you again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And get signed up for the rewards program, guys. It's free. Just sign up. They'll kill me if I don't say that.
Wash on.
See ya.